Hi guys, I am Rishit Shah from Tally School and welcome to the third part of payroll in Tally. In the previous two parts, that is part 1 and part 2, we have seen quite a lot of payroll in Tally and I've explained each and every function there, how you can create them, how you can delete them, how you can alter them, everything with enough explanation so you can use payroll in Tally. So if you have not watched the previous two videos, please go and see them, because I'm not saying this to increase my video views, because I'm saying this because we are continuing with a single example. So I've taken one example of our two employees, that is Kajal and Ajay, and we are continuing with this example in part 1, part 2 and this part as well. So if you have not seen those parts, you will not be able to relate with that example, and therefore I'm saying to watch those videos. Otherwise you can watch this video as well. So in those two parts, let me tell you what we have seen. We have seen employee categories, groups and employees in the first part, how you can create them and everything. Then in the second part we have seen units for work, what is that, attendance, production types and pay heads. So we have seen these three functions in the second video. Now in this video we are seeing two more functions, that is salary details and income tax details. So we are seeing these two functions right now in this video. I'm going to explain you each and everything in there as well. So let's start with this video and with this third part. But before starting, let me tell you how I am going through the entire process. So I have created this post, I've written this entire 3500 word post, and we are going according to that. So here is the guideline of what we are learning. In the first video I have explained you how you can enable payroll as well as create employee categories, groups and employees. This is for the second video, and third video defining salary details and income tax details. In the fourth part I'll explain you the actual entry for attendance and payroll. So exactly how the salary gets calculated and everything will be in the fourth video, which will also come out soon after this video. So let's go into the salary details and income tax details in this post. I'll link down the link to this post in the description below, because if you want to go through this post, you can easily go through this post. So let's just come down. So I just said it is very long post, 3500 words actually, around like that. So defining salary details and income tax details in Tally ERP 9. So salary details is very easy to define, in that we will be defining some options on the basis of which salary will be actually calculated. The amount of salary will be entering in this option. And in income tax details we will enter some of the details which are related to income tax law. So I'll explain that while in Tally. So let me go into Tally, and what you have to do I'll show you right now. From gateway of Tally, if you've enabled payroll in Tally, you'll see the options of payroll info as well as payroll vouchers. So once you've enabled, we'll go into payroll info, then we will go to salary details, and you have to go to define. So let's go to define, and then I have created the details for our two employees, which is Ajay and Kajal. So what happens is, when you define details for employees in Tally, Tally automatically takes up that details to certain departments as well. So if you have the salary details of a particular department, that is all the employees have the same salary details in one particular department, say for example in marketing department, all your employees have the same salary details, then you can just enter that details for the department and it will apply to all the employees. But for now I will be showing you how you can enter for each employee, because generally the details of every employee is a little bit different from other employees. So I will first show you how you can define the salary details for Kajal, who is working in the marketing department, and name is Kajal. So we cannot change this, and it is the employee number that we have defined while creating the employee in the first video. So it is under marketing department. You have to select here. So this will all be selected because we have already defined it. Now effective from date, it means the date from which these details will be effective, that is the date from which the salary details will be effective on the Kajal or on our employee. So 1st April 2018, which is exactly the joining date of Kajal in our company. Now pay head, we have to select certain pay heads here, or all the pay heads if you want to select. So we have created 2 pay heads in the previous part, that is basic salary and production. So we'll select basic salary here right now for simplicity, but you can select different pay heads depending upon your employee details. So you can select different pay heads like PPF, professional tax, TDS, etc. You can select all that pay heads here. So basic salary rate, now we have to enter the actual salary for our employees here. For this example, I have selected rate is 1000 per day. So Kajal is earning 1000 rupees per day. So 1000, just enter 1000 and per days. This will all be automatically filled up because we have entered days and pay head type and calculation type, everything in the previous part while we were defining pay head or we were creating attendance production types and everything. So generally these details are taken up from pay head. So days and pay head type and calculation type. Select end of the screen and save it. Similarly, we will define the salary details of Ajay. Exact same process, just select the pay head as production because for Ajay we have selected production, and rate is 500 per day. So 500 per days Ajay is earning, and per days earnings for employees, pay head type is earnings for employees, and calculation type is on production. So this we have defined while creating the pay head. You can also change this here if you want to change, but I'll select days. So days and end of the list, press enter and save. So we have easily defined the salary details, but the important point is that you can create different types of pay heads as per your requirement, as I have mentioned in the previous video as well. So you can include those pay heads along with this. For example, Ajay is getting a transport allowance of 500 per day as well. So you can create another pay head named transport allowance and then add that pay head here. So it will be calculated according to the Ajay salary and it will be included in the salary of Ajay. So that's a very good point, and that is the actual function of pay heads in Tally. So once you have entered all the pay heads, pay head literally means pay head, it means that you are paying to the salary, paying to the employee. So all the pay heads, once you have created all the pay heads, once you have entered all the pay heads in the salary details on this screen, then you can easily create a voucher for salary and Tally will calculate automatically everything according to the pay heads or according to the salary details that we have set up. So that's it, we have created or defined employee salary details in Tally. Now we will be defining income tax details in Tally. So this is a very big menu because there is no one single option here. So if you do not know anything about income tax, then leave this option without without editing it, because what will happen is if you do not know anything about income tax, then and if you alter this or edit this options, what will happen is certain things will add up in the salary of the employee, certain things might get deducted, and at the end you won't know from where the amount is coming. Even I cannot know sometimes because there are too many options here and it is very time consuming to see exactly from where it is coming. So if you do not know anything about income tax law, leave this option. But if you know the income tax law and if you know how it works, then this is for you. If you are an accountant or a CA or a CA student, accounting student, or anyone, if you know about income tax law in India, then these options are for you. So pay head configuration, if we go in, the first option is pay head configuration. So we have defined pay head, basic salary, and income tax component is also basic salary. So this income tax component, what this means is, according to the income tax law, what is the basic salary? Now, for example, let's say you are getting a salary from someone, but according to income tax law it might be something else. So for that you have to study law, or you have to at least know law about the salary, income tax law, what it says about salary, because income tax law defines salary and everything in another different way. Their way of defining is different, what we understand is different. That's why we hire lawyers, because they understand according to law, we understand according to how the things happen in the real world. So according to income tax it is also basic salary. Now you can see a production, according to income tax it is basic salary, because that is what we are paying to Ajay, though the name is production, but it is basic salary. So what we can do is press enter, and we can define income tax configuration here. So name of the pay head basic salary, master type pay head, income tax component it is basic salary. So if you're paying bonus and this is bonus according to income tax, then entirely different sections will be applicable on bonus according to income tax. So you have to select that if you're paying bonus. For you it is general exemption. For a company, if I'm paying my employees bonus, I am giving extra money to my employees, but according to income tax it has different application and it should be mentioned. So therefore we have to select income tax component here. So any kind of allowance, entertainment allowance, EPF, any kind of allowance, all the things are mentioned here. These are all income tax terms. So if you are familiar with income tax, you will know just by reading it. So this is the basic salary that I am adding. If it is allowance for transport employee, then you can add as well. So basic salary and on actual value. So tax is calculation on projected value as well as on actual value. So I'll select actual value because generally it is good to calculate tax on the basis of actual value. Now deduct TDS across periods. So I'll select it to yes, because TDS is applicable to an employee if you are paying the employee and whose salary is more than 5 lakh rupees per year. So you have to deduct TDS according to the income tax slabs. So I've just set it to yes, so TDS will be deducted. Now similarly, if you have created a pay head and in your tally it might show other earnings allowances fully taxable for the first time. So you can just go in here, like I have selected the production pay head here, press enter, and from other allowances select basic salary here, press enter, on actual value and TDS across periods, set that option to yes and save it. So these are the income tax details for each pay head. This is the pay head configuration and income tax details. So for each pay head you have to define the income tax component. That is what we have done here. Now we'll go back and go into declarations. So these all options, these are all the income tax options. So I'm not going to explain everything in that because it is just selecting the options according to income tax as we have done in the pay head configuration. So let me go into declarations and show you what it is. So these are the declarations of exemptions, income declared by employee and everything. So if you're familiar with income tax law, again, these all terms you will just know what it is by just looking at it. So these are all the declarations that if it is applicable to the employee, like deduction chapter 6A and 80D, which is medical insurance and everything. So you can enter that details of your employees in tally here. This is important and you have to enter for your employees, or your accountant may enter, because this will all be shown in the form 16 which you will give to the employees after filing their returns or after filing your TDS returns. So these are all the allowances and declarations, deductions, everything about employees which you can enter here. Now override exemption value. So if you have set certain exemptions in income tax, you can override that. So let me go in there and let me go in there. So we have not defined any exemptions here and therefore nothing is available. So if you have enabled certain exemptions according to income tax, and you can override that exemption value as well manually. So this is the option. Similarly, you can override the tax value as well. So if I go into Kajal and effective to date. So for example, if tax according to tally is 1000 but you want to override it to 2000, so you can enter it from date and to date, and then it is from date to date. So for example, if 1st April to 31st March and tax amount 1000 per month, so it will override and the tax will be calculated according to that. So nature of perquisite, it is override income tax. So tax of the employee, if you have calculated it manually or if Tally has not calculated correctly, you can override it. Generally this option is used when you have too many pay heads and the calculation is very complex, so you can just override it and that's it, the calculation is done. Now tax configuration, let me go in there, and this is again all the income tax terms are here. Tax configuration, you have to configure the tax for all these income tax terms or for all these allowances and salary and everything. The status is first 3 gross salary. This is not applicable because we have already defined the tax configuration for that these options. Now if anything like this is here not configured, you can set the tax configuration, because these all are allowances and certain allowances are exempt under income tax, but then if you cross the limit, then it is not exempt. So you can define or configure the tax for that. Let me go in one of them, and you can define the children education allowance. Now according to income tax law, you can allowed is up to maximum of 2 children. So if you are allowing your employees for 3 or 4 children, then you can define it here and configure all the details. If I go in there, you can configure all the details here. Again, you have to enter the pay head and it will calculate according to the details that you have put in. So you can configure these as well here. These are all the income tax setup. If you know income tax, then these options are very easy to configure. And in most of the employees, these options are not applicable as well, because these are applicable to only select few employees. Nowadays, who gives children allowance? So people don't give allowance nowadays, they just give extra salary. But still, if it is there, you can configure them here. Previous employer details, this is very easy. If your employee has joined from another company or another organization, then you can enter that details, the previous company details as well. So if you go in there, income and exemption details and tax deducted paid details. So this is income exemption details. If I go in there and select Ajay, so all the previous employer details of income and exemption. So this is actually, in other words, it is actually what your employer was earning from the previous employer, and that all the salary details of the previous employer. In effect, this is that. So you can enter that. This information is generally not useful because the employee has left the company, and what would you do by knowing his previous salary? Of course, if you want to pay salary according to that, then it is useful, but why to enter that information in your Tally? Still, if you want to enter, there is an option to have it. Similarly for Kajal, same thing, you can enter everything what the previous employer was giving to Kajal, and then you can have a record of that. Again, I don't find it useful, but if you find it useful, cool, go ahead. Then tax deducted paid details of the previous employer. So if I go in there, all the tax deductions and payable from the previous employee, you can enter this. So you can see here it is written as per Form 16 issued by previous employers. So what is Form 16? I have said quite a bit times in this video about Form 16 is a form which you will get at the end of the year, which is kind of similar to the income tax return that the employees file. It is just issued by the employers. So Form 16 will contain all the details of the salary, including tax payable, TDS deducted, allowances, deductions, everything. So you can enter those details from the Form 16 of the previous employer of Ajay or of your employee here. So you will have a record of that. Or you can just keep Form 16 copy of the previous employer. But if you want to keep it in Tally, you can keep it as well. So all except the pay head configuration and declaration, there is nothing that you have to do new. All this is data entry. Just get the data from your employee and put it in, or get the data from your company and put it here. That's it. So this is the last part, income tax details of this video. In this video we have seen salary details and income tax details of employees in Tally. Salary details, we have defined the exact rate of salary and how it will be calculated per day, per month, whatever. And income tax details, we have seen the income tax component definition, that is, if you are getting a salary from your employer, then, or if you are paying salary to an employee, whatever the case is, it might be different in the eyes of income tax. So we have to set them in Tally in order to calculate tax correctly. So that is all taken care of by Tally once you set the details. So thank you for watching this video, and if you are watching this video till now, then you have a real hunger for knowledge about Tally, and I salute that. Other than that, if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you want to say anything, just if you want to say thank you to me, then comment down below and I'll be very happy to help you. I will comment to your comment, and let's see, we can connect together. If you have any problems, suggestions, comment down below and I'll try to solve those problems as well. So if you are liking the videos of Tally on Tally School channel, then subscribe to Tally School. I am publishing 2 videos daily per day, even on Sundays. So one video comes at 9 a.m. in the morning and second video comes at 5 p.m. in the evening daily, including Sundays. So every day you will get 2 videos about Tally. Subscribe to Tally School for that, and thank you for watching this video.